Well, that was quite the beating that Georgia put on South Carolina, a game that Kirby Smart said y'all was sort of the first game they put it together this season. I think that's probably right.
Yeah, they put it together, but there's also probably the worst team. Actually, it is the worst team they played all year. A sound beating, like you said, the game was over quickly. They were able to run the ball. Felt a lot of like Georgia Kentucky earlier this year. JT Daniels didn't play his best. Missed some throws for sure, but this was all about the run game, baby, being able to just pound South Carolina. There were holes everywhere. I thought all the running backs looked really well, and I guess that's easy when you have the holes that they had today being able to run through. So defensively, I thought they missed a few tackles, but still got after the quarterback really well. And again, they only gave up the 10 points in the first half. Could have played better. Could have played better offensively too in the passing game, but came down to running the football, winning the line of scrimmage, and they did that pretty easily today, Dylan.
Yeah, defense, give up 16 points. I think they can do better than that, but you're not going to complain about that at all by any means.
No.
And yeah, running the ball. I think this is what we had hoped for Georgia's dominance to be like all year, and of course they just haven't really gotten it together. And today was just demolishing South Carolina on the ground. That was insane. How big the holes were for them.
Mm-hmm.
Oh
328 yards. Dean, I don't know if you have the stats in front of you.
I actually do have the stats. I'm sorry, what was the question?
Was 328 rushing yards? Was that it?
Georgia wound up with 332 on 46 carries. The long was a 44-yarder from James Cook, who really did look good tonight. They averaged 7 yards a carry. Carolina with 43 attempts for 83 yards. Their long was a 32. Luke Doty was 18 of 22. He missed some wide open guys at least once. Maybe they can make it work with him in the future, but this was a pure beating. I've seen South Carolina. I've been to this game every year since 1995. I missed the 94 game. I was there in 93 as well. Look, this is as bad an atmosphere as I can remember. COVID, no head coach. This is what it's like to play South Carolina later in the year when there's no hope. So, Georgia got up 21-0. Was that right? This is just a total
21 in the first quarter.
Total beating. I mean, Carolina had no shot. It's going to be a little better next year for them, but I feel like, for me, Georgia's starting to get towards what you're talking about. I mean, the ball to Burton was a little behind him. I think the worst throw that JT threw tonight was the ball near the end zone, threw into double coverage. That was about it. I mean, that ball should have been picked, but he left probably one touchdown on the field with the ball to Burton, because that should have been a touchdown. There might have been one more. But, I mean, damn, the ball to Smith was a thing of beauty. I can't remember the other touchdown. Can y'all help me on that one?
The one to Trey McKitty got the game going. I think his second one.
I don't know how do you miss that call if you're the official?
Yeah, at least they went back and looked.
Yeah, but how do you miss that call?
I mean, they made it right very quick.
There,
it
man.
Really
I mean,
obvious.
it was right there. I saw it from the press box. It looked like he was in. Yeah. The officiating in this league has just gotten bad. I mean, I'm just watching the replay
first each week. Actually,
I'm watching the replay a little bit right here, and they're just running through them like crazy. And yeah, Jordan Birch and the other kid from Hammond would help them a lot, but wouldn't have helped them shave 70 yards off of the thing. I mean, this is 332 yards of ball on the ground in your face, Dylan. And this was the explosion that we've been waiting around to see from Georgia. They had plenty of that tonight.
I'm not saying I could have rushed for 20 yards or 30 yards myself, but I think
maybe
if you hand the ball off to me with some of those holes, I think I could get 5 yards, 6 yards.
So you think
with how well the offensive line was doing?
You can go for 20 tonight. 20 yards
on one run.
Oh no, just to you get.
Oh, okay.
You get 3 runs.
Yeah.
You get 3 runs.
God, yeah.
You get 3 runs. You can go for 20 yards. How about you, Matt?
Definitely. But I think a lot of myself in athletic situations like that. So probably But no, they were wide open holes though all night, and they did look good though. I mean, Kenny McIntosh had a lot of redirection plays. Zamir was Zamir, just pounding it, just going forward, falling forward. The final 3 yards after dragging a dude 3 more and ends up with just 7-8, 7-8. We saw the explosiveness from James Cook that we've seen from him, but a lot of it was in the passing game. So we saw some explosive runs, which is nice to see. But you're right. I thought the offensive line played well. Ben Cleveland was throwing guys around. Jamari Sawyer, I thought, played really well. But it's very concerning for South Carolina because they don't recruit a lot of 5-stars often, but a lot of them recently have been on the defensive line. Zach Pickens, Jordan Burch, Rick Sandage, a guy who Georgia was looking at a lot, a few in-state kids as well who went to Carolina who were 4-stars. That's supposed to be the strength of their team, especially with McQuamu and Jace Horn not playing. And they got abused big time. So I know they're down. I know they've got some injuries and all that. And Kirby mentioned that multiple times. We all know that, but still, they've got to play better than that. I think there's too much talent on their defensive line for them to be giving up 320 yards to anyone. But that's what Georgia does, and they did it tonight.
South Carolina's upset last year. If you don't have that, and we know why that happened with all the turnovers. But this is a lopsided series right now. I see the flashing at the bottom at ESPN where they split the last 5 games. I think Georgia's won 5 of the last 6 at this stage.
Yeah.
15, 16, 17, 18, and 20. So the 19 was a total statistical anomaly. But this is now you've got the Vanderbilt game, a game where there's no way Vanderbilt is competitive with Georgia. I watched that whole Mizzou-Vandy game today, and they should beat Missouri. I mean, that was a 12-point line coming off of the Florida loss. My suspicion is, even though Missouri is playing better, and that's a game Georgia could lose, Dylan, my suspicion is that game's going to be something like 17 to 20 points for Georgia being favored on the road. It is a tricky game, but this offense it's different now.
They just ran for over 300 yards. They will be pushing to probably rush for 200 again next week. And
200 in the first half.
They did tonight in the first half.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Late in the first half tonight.
Go ahead, Dylan. Sorry.
Well, and you would expect JT will play better next week. Today, I didn't think was horrible, but it was fine. But you didn't need much.
No.
And he still, what makes the run game work a lot better with him in the game is that you can't load the box against him. Mississippi State tried to, and it didn't work well. And against Stetson, you probably could. Against Dwan, you certainly could. But against JT, you really have to respect the deep ball with him. And that opens up a lot for him, too.
He threw it well tonight, too, Matt, in the deep ball. He missed that one to Burton. Other than that, I mean, it was
on
there.
The sidelines?
Yeah, on the sideline.
It just doesn't feel like he's 100% with the arm strength. He is underthrowing some balls on the deep ball. It doesn't seem like he's overthrowing them. They're either on target or they're a little underthrown, which is fine, and I think it's something that he can get back. Maybe it is because the knee's not 100%. He's not planting the way he could or wants to. So I think that part of his game will only get better. But he still threw some darts, and he's looking for George Pickens. He's looking for Burton. Those are 2 good options to look at. I love the special teams play. It hasn't been something we've seen often. They haven't been able to return punts very often. But when they do, they could take off. And when we've seen them have the opportunity to make plays on special teams, they're doing it. So I do think that part of the team has done really well all year.
I'm curious. Did you think Jermaine Burton would be this good this year?
Maybe not this year. I did write that he was probably the wide receiver who would see the most playing time from this group. I did say that before signing day and even after. I thought he would be the guy who saw the field the most, and it looks like that's it. But I've been high on him since he was a freshman. I remember after one of the openings, he ran over to me, wanted me to tweet out his score. It made his day that I tweeted out his opening score. I'll never forget that. But came right up and found me to make sure he told me. So we've been close with him for a while. I know he's fast. I knew he was explosive, and I knew he can make those body control types of catches in the air with a defender draped all on him. I knew he had that part of his game. And so it is exciting to see him go out and make some plays.
This
Wait,
offense.
I'm sorry, Dean. Did they give you TV control in the press box?
I currently have TV control. If you'd like to, where did it go? It's right there. It is. Watching Kansas. I don't want any copyright infringements there. We've got 8 big play yards, big gain, big play yards for Georgia in this game, gain of 10 or more, for 174 yards of their rushing. So 44 from James Cook, 13 from Kenny. Kenny with another 32-yarder, Zamir 22, Zamir 10, James Cook 14, James Cook 29, Kenny McIntosh 10. In the passing game, Georgia had 4 big plays, which would be 15 or more. So different people call big plays different things. 2 17-yard passes, 1 to Pickens, 1 to Burton, a 31-yard pass, which was very nice to Arian Smith, 31-yard touchdown, and then a 40-yard completion to start I don't think it was his first completion. It might have been a 40-yard play to McKitty, who then scored a touchdown soon thereafter. Carolina had 5 total big plays, so they were more than doubled by Georgia's situation. But one of those was the trick play that I mean, I know I do Legge thoughts after this, but we can always find negativity. They just whipped their ass, though, man. I mean, they're going to whip Vanderbilt's brains too. And then you've got Missouri. This Georgia team looks good. I mean, you look at. I don't think Florida can lose to LSU. I mean, I don't think Florida will lose to LSU, but LSU's picking it up a little bit. Georgia's playing better now. These last 2 games, generally speaking, certainly on offense. And then they have the whole year. And when you start fast forwarding now to 2021. They've got a legitimate quarterback who can scare you down the field, and that is the one missing piece. And it appears that's moving forward in a way that you'd want it to be, because these receivers, y'all, they're not. I mean, you got Burton, Pickens, and Kieris. Those guys will all be back, and so will Dominic Blaylock. This is going to be
Arian Smith could be your Mecole Hardman guy too. I mean, he's a weapon that I'm sure they would love to add more of and feed him the ball more next year. The weapons are there. I don't want to see any more mock drafts with JT Daniels going early in the draft. He's not ready. I know there was, after last week's game, I saw some mock drafts where he was going in the first round and all that. It just made me laugh, but it's
pretty
clear
aggressive.
that he does need to come back. And I think we saw that today. I thought for a second, if he absolutely lit it up the past 4 games, 4 touchdowns each, 300 yards, that maybe he would decide to go. But I think after tonight, it's clear that he still has some room to go there.
That throw that should have been picked off, that was not a first-round throw. That was not very good.
It was not a good decision.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
he threw right into double coverage, and it absolutely should have been picked off. He got really bailed out there.
So, Matt, before I was driving to Columbia, and I said I wanted to see 450. Is that right?
I think you said 250 rushing yards, 200 passing yards, something like that. But it was 450 yards between the two.
Right. So 471, which is pretty good. And then not the amount of passing yards, but of course they only threw it 16 times, 2 touchdowns. Yeah. I can't put that interception on him. He earned an interception. No. He earned an interception. It just was on the wrong play. And these things, balance themselves out. That was a really good play by the Carolina kid. But and Carolina did have some guys that flashed at times, but the quarterback has some developing to do. It's not just going to happen for him. He's got to. There were guys that were open. And you got to hit him. You can't run. And he wound up with 15 yards, 15 negative yards. He picked up some yardage. So he's got to get the ball out of his hands. But I don't know. I know I can be optimistic a little bit too much sometimes. But I don't see how you can help from being that way all of a sudden here when, 3 or 4 weeks ago I was asking the two of y'all and a lot of people that I talked to behind the scenes, is this a structural problem at Georgia or is this a quarterback problem? And not every single person, but vast majority said this is a problem specifically with quarterback. They don't have a quarterback. Would they beat Florida now? I don't know. I mean, if they play like they did tonight and Florida did play like they have these last 2 weeks, yeah, they probably would. But you don't get to replay games. And this is looking like the explosive offense that we were told about suddenly coming to fruition. Kirby's not going to do this whole notion where, hey, it is hard to get to 500 yards. It can be very hard. But they nearly got that, and it's all there. I mean, like they just don't have any big games left to sort of prove themselves.
Yeah. Real quick, I think we have to quick shout out to Jalen Carter, who had a monster game. He was very, very good, and we got to see a lot of the young guys too, even more. Your guy Zion Logue, Dean, I thought played really well too.
Yeah.
A lot of the young guys. It was nice to see that.
Jalen Carter with a field goal block. He was eating people up the whole night, and Dylan's paintball partner Broderick Jones got out there as well. They were
and. This is what we were talking about for the past few weeks, is why these last games were important. It's because guys like these are getting really valuable playing time.
Yeah,
just to have the opportunity to get out here and help it kick Carolina's ass for them is super great for their development at their freshman year.
Lewis seen.
They're not young guys, but I would like to see more Channing Tindall. When he's out there, he's making plays, and Adam Anderson too. When he's out there, he does flash more and more.
This team, if the right guys come back,
That's what I've been saying all week.
Yeah, if the right guys come back, and Lewis Seen can't leave, I don't think, but
he's just a sophomore. Yeah,
right. Man, he looks good. I mean, he looked good. 12 solo tackles tonight. I mean.
He's a big dog post guy. Yeah. He kept me posted his whole recruitment. He's a good kid.
Jesus, we're going all in with the back end here.
I've worked with these guys. They're great.
I mean, but the thing about it is, like, you're starting to see, things coming together. At the beginning, this was just a scattering of ingredients, flour, all-purpose flour, sugar, and so forth. Things don't look right. Where's the butter? All of a sudden, you get the right mixer in there with the quarterback, and you've got the Thanksgiving treat that you want rather than dressing or some outdated. I pay you too much. I can tell you that right now.
Classic.
No, we've come to the point where we need to get off the air here, clearly, but it was outdated. Thank you for checking me.
They got better today, guys.
No, this was a good win, and I don't care who you play. When you play well, it's obvious that I mean, could you imagine if they didn't play well, or is that what you were about to laugh about? I mean, people no, just everybody. I mean, could you imagine? I mean, you play who you play, and either you play well or you don't. And they played well tonight.
But they had to blow them out. There's no reason they couldn't, and they did.
Yeah, they did. And I thought they could have scored 70 if they really wanted to, but they just kind of,
I mean,
it wasn't going to embarrass mine like that.
I feel like they had to blow them out, and I feel like they had to blow them out in this way, running the ball as well as they did, because last week was just abysmal doing it, and the previous weeks leading up to it, really, they just haven't ran the ball nearly as well, and so this showed just how dominant they can still be in that department.
Okay, I can't even remember the score, 45-16? I think that's right. But Georgia with a lopsided win. They'll take on Vanderbilt next week, a team that's definitely worse than Vanderbilt, than South Carolina. And we will see you in Sanford Stadium.